Brighton Beach Busking presents
Meg, yeah man, Timon, Alex, Ian, Paul. Welcome to
the Busking Break.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
The show where we interview your favourite Brighton Beach Buskers, finding out the stories behind the musicians that sound our streets.
Had a bit of a day off today, so
This is probably quite the journey to become the musician you are today.
Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you do not miss an episode. So come with us and be part of this journey. Hello and welcome to the Busking Break here at the Works Pier. Today we spoke to Ian Dell. It was a fascinating conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Ian,
Yeah.
how are you doing?
I'm doing well, yeah.
Good. Welcome to Busking Break. So you're a multi-instrumentalist. You're a guitar player, beatboxer, keyboard, drummer, all these things. Tell us about your journey as a musician. When did you begin? How did you begin? And how did you get here?
That's a very strange question to ask. How did I get here? Well, there's many questions about that one. Well, I can't say that. But, I could actually, I'm going to say it.
Go on then.
Well, in order to get here, I had to bring my mother and father together because they're from different energies and different realms.
Uh-huh.
And in order to have a physical body, you need to come from your mother and father. So
Yeah.
you need to get them together first in order to get here.
Uh-huh.
So I had to do that first, but I had to come here. Basically, my journey here was to build my body,
Uh-huh.
my cells, my organs, everything.
Uh-huh.
So I came here as a 2 pound, 10 ounce baby.
Nice.
No mother, no father, and stuck from an incubator into a, what was it called? Dr. Bernardo's children's home,
Okay.
which was a very strange place where they just abuse you and hide the evidence. And now you can't find that evidence of that children's home anyway. And it was in Tunbridge Wells, it was called St. Christopher's, Dr. Bernardo's. So if you're ever looking at, there's just one little picture. And it's not even a picture of the children's home, it's just a picture of a building. They put all the babies like when they first got there, if they were really young like me. Or like just about this big.
Wow.
So yeah, I had that. And I had autism as well. So I was born 2 pound 10 ounces, no mother, no father, autism, and stuck in a children's home. So that's how I got here.
Okay.
And my task was to build my body. So the way I did it was to hold resonance with physical forms, which is one of my skills, where you sense objects and then you structure your cells with that object through your sense. We all do it, but most people just don't do it. Say they don't do it. You know, not allowed to sense anything. Oh, you shouldn't sense that. Well, I can't help it.
That's what you're here to do.
It's in my reality. And that's what you do in dream. So when you're dreaming, you're building the cells of your body. And you see colour, light and sound. When you're in our reality, you're told that if you see, sight, hear and sound, you're mentally ill. You better be locked up or take our drugs. But normally when we're asleep we do it, and then if we can do it while we're awake, which a lot of autistic people can, but then they're freaking out because they can't explain it to people in the real world, because when you're usually autistic you can't even say those things. How do you explain to someone in a world that does not understand sense, sight and sound internally, can't make things happen instantly? They believe that the only way they can fix their body is to go to the doctor and say, can you take my leg off and put a plastic one on? Can you give me some artificial chemicals? And I can cry a lot, get depressed and wonder why my body doesn't work. But really I had to build my body. So you get premature babies come into this dimension, depending on when they're born, depends on whether they came in to build their body or not. You can work out by your birthday that knowledge. But what you get now is doctors working out before the baby's even got here and then already mapping out whether they're going to give them an artificial heart or an artificial valve or this. So whoever came here to build their bodies ain't going to get that chance. They better be really good at it. They better build it really fast. Because technology these days, on it before you even come out the womb.
Wow.
So the medical profession have got it down to a T, apparently. Almost a T. Yeah. So yeah, I came here to build my body. I spent 9 months in the room building it, and not building it all because I came out really early. And then I had to work out how to build it in the real world, or rather in the world of physical dimension and form.
Wow.
Which I was a master of, you see.
Uh-huh.
That's what I do now, is build my body.
And how did music fit into this?
That is music.
Did it
That is
come...
the ultimate.
Did you prepare music as an entity before, or did you come into this world and it resonated with you and you picked it up?
It's all to do with frequency and sound.
Uh-huh.
We got language which is recorded, so it's programmed frequencies and sound, and we got just sounds that reach right across the spectrum from sense, sight, sound, and other things that you can't even imagine, but you can sense them all. So you can sense everything, and that is your power. But then you've got language that tells you that certain things you can sense, certain things you can't, certain things exist, certain things don't, and then because you name everything, you stop sensing things around you and finding out what's this, what does that feel like when I sense it. You just give it a name and you go, yeah, I know what a tree, a light, and that cat and the dog is, but you don't, because you never had no experience of it. So you just live in your head thinking you do, and you get sick. And they call it aging, but you don't really age, you just get sick. And some people get sick quicker than others because their timeline is faster than others. It's all to do with language.
Language is, so for you, is like, you know, what you do as a busker, what you do as a musician, is that you expressing a language?
I'm expressing energy
Uh-huh.
and forming my body with it, and then making that blueprint of that energy so that other people can access that energy that are not able to access that energy. Because it has to be refined. You have to refine certain energies for certain people to be able to experience it. So some of us have to refine that energy, come here and refine the old information or the old life and death patterns that have existed through great big star systems that have been structured as chemical compounds and sound.
Wow.
Which has to do with our core of the earth and the aurora borealis, which is colour, light and sound. Then we won't go down that road.
Maybe not today. Wow. That's incredibly insightful and I guess quite deep way of
Not
expressing
deep
it.
enough,
But not deep enough for you, yeah, maybe not. So how did you start off as a busker?
Oh God, you don't want to know that one.
No.
Okay, here we go. This gets really interesting, doesn't it? Okay, I used to play music in bands, and the question is, how did I start music as a busker? Okay, I started music as a busker because I ended up getting in a situation where the person that I was doing business with stole all my stuff, and I ended up on the street with no money or no anything. And it took me 8 years to try and get money living in this town, going through the system and trying to apply for my rights, for money, for housing, for somewhere to live. I spent 8 years, and the only reason I got it is because at the end of the 8 years that I couldn't get it, because I couldn't get a passport, I couldn't get a birth certificate, because I had no mother and father, because I was from a children's home. It didn't fall under the, you have enough money, you have the rights to have this. So all my things did not fall under the right of what you were allowed to have. All the law said something completely different. So I ended up getting sick. I'm getting pneumonia. And then I ended up getting sent to hospital, and I was left in hospital, and they told me that I was going to die and my organs were going to fail. And I spent, in fact, I remember they took me out of intensive care, and they put me in a wheelchair, and I couldn't breathe very well, and my lungs were not working properly, and my organs were failing, and I was just in this extreme pain. Every part of my body was in pain. Then I had this vision, and it was saying, you're not going to get any medical elements of care or anything after this moment. So I sat there for like about 5 minutes, and my head started spinning. Oh my God! I'm gonna die! And that's what it was like. And then I watched my thoughts, and they went round and round and round, going crazy. And I said to myself, you need to cut them out of this. You need to snap out of this right now and take control of this situation. So I thought, okay, what are you going to do? And I thought, right, what have you done in your previous past times of your life that would help you through this situation? In 2000, I had problems with my autism, so I couldn't really eat properly and things like that, and I got really ill then. So I basically had to do a thing called breatharian, where I just stopped eating food and just lived off breath, basically. I did that in 2000 and stayed doing that right up until 2018, I think, or 8.
Wow.
I had odd things, but not really, I didn't really think about it. It didn't really occur to me. So at this point, when I realised that they weren't going to give me any pills and this pain was going to get worse and worse, and then I wasn't going to be able to breathe, I had previously done certain things with sound, and I could basically remove pain from, well, actually I learned to remove pain from my body earlier on in my life, but I could just do it. So I just focused and told myself, right, this is going to be like a fast, because I knew they were going to put me in this ward and just leave me to die. And so I knew that I had to just fast, like I did, but I fasted longer than 4 weeks, so it was like, they'll be back in a month. They'll be back in 4 weeks, so they came back. But I got paralysed, and the only thing I could do was breathe. And I remember having to say to myself, every time you go unconscious, tell parts of your body to rebuild themselves. And I would keep falling out of unconscious, get this shock and come back. But all I could do was breathe, so I had to concentrate and focus. It was basically focus for 3 weeks solid without ever. But I did that anyway as a baby in children's arms, so I knew how to do it. So it was basically focus for 2 weeks. And then people kept dropping out their beds dying and all sorts of shit. And it was just like, right, you have to wait until somebody comes back. And then they came back, I don't know how long it was, 3 weeks later or something, because they unplugged me from all the drips, all the what's it called, so there was no food, no water, nothing, for a good 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
And they came back, and then they wanted their bed back, so they shut me out, got the bed back, and I went, yes, I've done it. And after that, I had to basically rebuild my body. And then this is when the whole thing began about busking, because I got a band together for a year and used that to, because sound, when I used to sing when I was really small, to get myself out of all this trauma in the children's home. So when I sing, I can repair myself, and that's what I learned in the busking. I went busking because they stopped my money in this whole changing, what was it called? What's that thing? Yeah, you do know. You know everything.
The audience knows everything. Okay.
When they brought all that in, they started saying to people, oh, you're not entitled to this benefit, you're not entitled to that benefit.
Okay, yeah.
And then they stopped all my benefits. Stopped my money, stopped everything. After I came out of hospital, this was. They said,
Universal credit.
No, yeah, everything. They stopped it. They sanctioned it because they said that because I didn't have proof of my autism, they said, well, you didn't do all the things we said you got to do. They sent me on this course to do all this reading and writing and do this job thing because I didn't do it properly and didn't succeed. They sanctioned me and took all my money away. And it was basically, you can sit at home and get sick, or you can go out and play music. So I decided, even if I haven't got any money and no food, I'm going out and playing music. And I spent every day getting up without eating, doing my exercises, going out and busking every day, all winter, all summer, every day.
Wow.
Singing, just generating my energy by singing. And then just kept doing it. So I've done it now for 9 years of just busking.
Wow, that's awesome.
The last, over the COVID, sometimes I didn't go out and bus, but most of the time I did go out. So that's how I started busking.
That's really cool.
And then I just put some of my things to the test and made sure they worked. You know? And now I got a 14-day. I figured that if I damage any part of my body, if I don't fix it in 14 days, I can't go out and learn anyway. So I worked out a whole system of sound and stuff that I can repair parts of my body within 14 days. I can get rid of swelling, get rid of... Basically, I've tried it out on a friend of mine who got really sick, and in 14 days, all the symptoms vanished.
Wow.
Showing in this thing, so I know it works on more than just me.
That's epic.
So that's what I do now. I've put a metal bar through that. No, my mate put a metal bar through that toe. I dropped a battery on that toe. I've had so many accidents. And now I just don't go to doctors. I just fix it myself.
You just fix it through sound.
Through sense
Through sense
and sound,
and sound.
but not language.
Nice. That's awesome.
And so that's kind of what I channel out when I'm playing music, is that energy.
That's really cool. But what is that? What you'd say? So if someone wants to ask you what music is for you, what would you say?
Building my body.
Uh-huh.
Creating other realities, building other people's bodies,
Uh-huh.
and channeling knowledge to each other through our electromagnetics without words. Instantly. That's
awesome.
what you seek to do when you're playing an instrument. You seek to be on that stage and have that point where everybody's in synchronicity and there are no words and everybody knows exactly what to do. That's what we do in the womb, so that's what we should do out here.
Whoa. So cool. So what is the sort of like you've had an album out recently? Is that right? Maybe?
Oh, I've got so many of it.
So many albums.
Yeah, they just fall out of the sky. No, I got so many because I taught myself to basically... Why did that happen? I was never allowed to do music in school.
Mm-hmm.
Many reasons. But I just didn't do any music in school and I was not allowed to. The only thing I did in school was tap dance. When I upset... You see, I upset the music teacher. He was a pianist. And everybody had focus on her. And when I came up and she gave me a drum kit one day, I started playing it and all the attention disappeared off her. She got really angry and really jealous and forbid me to play any music ever. So I managed to persuade her to let me go and tap dance outside the class. So that's what I did. Started teaching people to tap dance while she was doing music. So yeah, so I didn't do any music in school.
Uh-huh.
I didn't do it until I left school. I didn't do it until I was thrown out of the children's home at 17 and left on the street. And I went and lived with this guy that was dying of cancer actually. That was a bit weird. And because I couldn't read and write at that point, it was very difficult, and because I had autism, it was very difficult to communicate what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this advert, and I met this woman who was basically taking loads of medical drugs for, what was it for? Basically, just she was mentally ill and unstable, apparently, because she probably had great ideas and good dreams. And then nobody else wanted to hear it. so they poisoned her. And when they did this, she said to me, because I got quite depressed because I lived in a tiny little room that was so small that like there was about this much room between the wall and the bed because I think it was a cupboard. That's the kind of way life was going. And yeah, I lived like that. And then she said, don't go to the doctors and get drugs for being depressed. So I took her advice, thanked her. Later on she died from a brain hemorrhage. And I started a band with her son. And that was when I started music. Then.
Wow. Dang. It's quite a story. It's really cool.
It's quite an interesting story.
Yeah.
I like stories.
Wow. So, in Brighton, where you busk, do you think that the council could maybe do anything to help buskers?
That's interesting. Depends who's got the authority, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
Is it the council got the authority or is it someone above them?
I'm not sure.
Oh, who knows these things? Well, let me go back in time. Right, this is how it works in the children's home, and I'm sure it works like the outside as well. So, when you get abused in the children's home, you can't go to nobody, because the person that abuses you is the person who's living in the house. So if you say anything, they just abuse you more in a different way. So you have to be very careful what you say in the children's home. It's similar to our world we live in. Right, so if you go to people in the council and say, I want this, and like the children's home, there's people above them saying, well, you've got to do this, and this for your job. And if you stand out, so get outside those things, someone's going to come down on someone. There has to be an scapegoat. That's like a goat that runs around.
Yeah.
Going, I've got to escape from this hell. Well, actually, it's not, but it would be. In my case, it was. I got to escape from this hell, so I just shut up. Don't say nothing. Watch what they're doing, and figure it out. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I think they could do, but the laws and the restrictions that are placed upon them is the same as the children's home. So you try to go to someone above them, and then you've got the problem if somebody finds out you've gone above them, then you still get punished. You either lose your job or you lose your life, or whichever one's more convenient in the situation that you've kind of broken the rules in. In the children's home, it was very religious. It was Dr. Monado, so yeah, death was definitely sell your organs. Something like that. Just abuse kids and use whatever you can. Is kind of what that system was like. So we got just abused and things. And then, because I had autism, I couldn't explain, because when I had autism and I was really small, I had problems with my feet because I've got extra bones in my feet, because my skeletal is different, because I come from a different dimensional planetary system. Actually, I come from Earth, but Earth a long time ago, before the Ice Age, before Africa, before language even, before life and death. Let's go back that far. And
Pretty far.
my skeleton comes from a tribe that existed. We built our bodies, that was our skill.
Wow.
And then we built a foundation of physical forms outside our body that we could store energy from moving and making motion, which was the musical part, through dance, basically. And we could then store energy and generate a physical form outside our body and store it in a crystal, which is the core realms of our earth. And if we want to get that energy back, we just have to sense, and there it is, straight away. But yeah, it's illegal. They form language and said, well, you can't do that. We're not having you do that. Act like this. Do this as a human being and build your body and have an infinite source of creativity and knowledge as a musician or a creator. So we had to give up the creation, give up our creativity, much like now, and become robots, I suppose. Back in the dream I had. No, so yes, you have to become, get in your place, do what you're told, and if something happens and you're not allowed, you can't do it, you just pass the information to someone else. After about 50 years of that going around the system and you're never getting what you want, you're probably dead anyway. But if you're not, like me, you manage to figure out a loophole or something, then you get to speak about it. If you don't, nobody finds a fucking thing out.
Whoa.
And life and death just carries on as normal.
Wow. The cycle. Cool. Ian, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Where can people find your music? Where can people find you?
Oh, that's a difficult one, 'cause I haven't sorted anything out yet. Where can people find it? There will be a place, I think it might be Ian Dell. There'll be a website on it.
Cool.
At some point.
We can put it all in the description if you want.
And there will be ways of constructing these art forms and these. I got a big chart that gives you time and dates, sounds, depending on what birth numbers you've got depends on how you can download knowledge straight into your body. But I've got lots of ways of doing it.
Wicked.
All to do with creativity and structuring the body through your art.
Epic.
So, it's all about acronyms. Actualized rhythmic templates gives us art.
Art.
So we make templates of our body as electrical. We then store it in our body as ourselves. And when we sense, we automatically create and structure ourselves. So that's what we're doing on an emotional level in the dream. Seeing colour, light and sound. It's just, when we're children, we can see colour, light and sound like a dream outside of our body. We can remote view and see anywhere. But our parents tell us off for doing it. You know, oh yeah, mother, I saw. You know, I went to Jupiter last night, and there were some weird beings there, and they told me, Mum, you're lying to me. And mother goes, don't you dare say you saw somebody else. I think my darling's got a bit of a problem. He's seeing things. He's hearing things. Oh God, I've got to take him to the doctors. But as an autistic child, that's what I did. I could see the future. I could read people's bodies and see what's happening in the future about that person, which is what I saw about the children's home being closed. And I said something about it, and I got told off and punished for it. That's when I realised you have to be careful what you say. But before then, I never spoke. And I spent 11 years not speaking before I could have an operation on my feet. So I could walk properly, because I used to walk around in circles. Because I couldn't stand still after about a minute. I was in so much pain. So I spent 11 years being told off for moving about.
Wow.
And then that's how I learnt to master pain. 11 years of dancing.
Nice.
Stand still, can't.
It doesn't happen.
I can't. There's no such thing as autism right now, so you're just going to have to tell me off.
Epic. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for all the wisdom.
Well, that's it. Thank you too.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Busking Break here on the Brighton Beach Busking YouTube channel. If you haven't already, then please click subscribe, like this video, and hit the notifications bell so you know when videos have been posted. Go and check out our busking guests. All their links are in the description. I have been your host, August Radio Project. If you're a musician, creative, and you like challenges, or you need some tips and tricks, then go and check out my YouTube channel, also linked in the description. Thank you to Works for welcoming us to the Works Pier and believing in the project. If you're a creative looking for workspace in Brighton, contact Works through the details in the description. They offer co-working, craft space, sound studios, offices, meeting rooms, and more. Also, thank you to Mug Time for the wonderful mugs. You can find the link to their Amazon shop in the description below. And thank you to you for watching the Busking Break. And I'm sure I will see you in the next one. Thank you.